Hello Moto GP fans, welcome back to ZNGP today. In a race of chaos, Marc Márquez chose calculation. The French GP at Le Mans delivered unpredictable weather, wild strategy swings, and a first Honda win in years, courtesy of Johann Zarco. But for Marquez, it was all about survival. After 2 Sunday crashes already this year, the number 93 settled for second, and maybe more importantly, stayed in the title fight. On a treacherous flag-to-flag Sunday at Le Mans, Johann Zarco wrested Honda back to the top step, while Ducati's riders faced chaos. Dani Pedrosa dissected the tumultuous French GP, where Alex Márquez crashed twice, Pecco Bagnaia faltered early, and Marc Márquez stayed mistake-free to claim second, offering insight into the split-second choices that shaped every podium and pit stop. A frustrated Pecco Bagnaia didn't hold back after a harrowing race weekend at Le Mans, labeling it as one of the toughest of his career. From rain-tired decisions to an early crash and a dismal bike performance, Bagnaia's mood was far from positive as he reflected on a weekend to forget. In a raw post-race interview, the Ducati rider opened up about his struggles, his anger, and his determination to turn things around. Fabio Quartararo's home Grand Prix at Le Mans delivered drama both on and off the track. After a dramatic crash in Sunday's rain-soaked race, the 2021 world champion was slapped with a further penalty for ignoring marshal instructions, mandating he sit out the first 10 minutes of FP1 at Silverstone. Despite the setbacks, Quartararo insists there were high points to build on as Yamaha wrestles with its 2025 pace. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. Declared a wet race from the start, Sunday's GP brought 10 different strategies according to Marquez. Riders gambled on slicks, wets, and pit stops. Marc? He kept it simple, follow Alex Márquez. Normally, I'm the one who invents. Today I said minimize risks. I've made 2 mistakes on 2 Sundays. I couldn't afford another. Not just for points, but for confidence. The one closest in the championship is Alex. We're going to do the same thing he did. Quote from Marc Márquez. While Zarco nailed the call and gave Honda its first win in ages, Márquez admitted he didn't have the nerve to roll the dice a third time. Sitting in no man's land. For most of the race, he stayed calm and brought the bike home second. There was a moment I didn't know how it was going. I was in no man's land, second. The race felt long, but it's one of those days you can use a wild card. I'd already used mine in Jerez and Austin. I couldn't afford to make a mistake. The most tense moment? The sighting lap. Pecco Bagnaia made an early move, but Marc hesitated, waiting to see what Alex would do. Once underway, Márquez took no risks, especially in the early laps when the track was half dry, half treacherous. I hesitated during the sighting lap when Pecco went up, but the asphalt was dry. I waited to see Alex. Then, in the race, I took it cautiously. You touch a slightly wet white line and you're down. I always had them in sight. The mental toll was heavy. Márquez admitted the last laps were the hardest, not physically, but psychologically. Riding alone in second, the risk of a lapse in concentration loomed large. The toughest laps were the last 5. You're in no man's land, your mind starts to drift, thinking about dinner, whatever. It's tough to stay focused. When I'm at 100%, instinct takes over. When I'm not, I relax, and that's when mistakes happen. I can't allow that anymore. With Alex Márquez still in the mix and Silverstone on the horizon, the intra-family rivalry is real, but respectful. For now, it's teamwork off the track, competition on it. We'll have the same dinner and lunch to arrive as strong as possible. We're playing against each other for a world championship at Silverstone, and that's a circuit where we'll both be fast. No win, no wild moves, but plenty of wisdom. Marc Márquez played the long game in France, and it paid off with crucial championship points. With 3 wins and a sprint streak already under his belt, the title chase is still very much alive, and this time, smarter. As rain began to fall, Le Mans became a slippery chessboard of slicks and wets. Zarco's bold strategy paid off. He led both before and after the bike swap, posting the fastest lap times when it mattered most. For 80% of the race, Zarco was the fastest. Even Morbidelli was quick, but clearly, Zarco managed the wet and slicks better than anyone, Dani Pedrosa said. Riders had to balance speed with survival, gauging when to pit, how much to press on slicks, and how to navigate corners that swung from damp to soaking. These have been very difficult laps to manage, on slicks on a track that's starting to get wet, then calculating tire cooling and the perfect moment to change bikes. Alex Márquez looked strong until turn 2 claimed him twice, once with a sudden rear-end snap, and again after he'd remounted, dashing what had been a promising ride. Alex has been the key point of this Grand Prix. He handled the conditions well, but suddenly that rear wheel snapped, and then he crashed again despite having a top 6 finish secured. Rookie Fermin Aldeguer stunned by staying out longest on slicks, taking an unlikely podium in mixed conditions. Pedro Acosta also impressed, until a medium compound rain tire cost him late race grip. Pedro's 4th place, holding on with that medium rear rain tire, is commendable. When the rain intensified, that tire lost grip, and yet he hung on. Pecco Bagnaia's Le Mans weekend unraveled at the start. Confused by the sighting lap mix of tire choices, he hesitated on his slicks, braked too early in turn 1, and was swept aside by Bastianini before crashing. He lost confidence in his strategy and did not go out into the race with determination, so he braked harder than usual and got passed on both sides. As Moto GP packs up for the next round, Pedrosa's analysis underscores one truth: wet-dry races reward clarity of mind as much as pace. Zarco's gamble, Marquez's composure, and the Ducati camp's missteps tell a cautionary tale. On days like Le Mans, hesitation can be as costly as outright speed. Despite his early confidence, the French Grand Prix quickly descended into chaos for Bagnaia. The former champion had faith in his strategy, opting for rain tires, but it all unraveled almost immediately. A good start gave way to slippery conditions and a contact with Enea Bastianini that saw Bagnaia hit the ground. I had chosen the right strategy. I knew perfectly well that when it started raining, it wouldn't stop. But then, I got off to a very good start, but the bike started sliding a lot on the straight and I lost a lot of positions. We touched at turn 3, and I ended up on the ground, Bagnaia said. After the crash, Bagnaia was adamant that a top 5 finish was still possible. Yet, the bike wasn't in good enough condition to allow him to recover. With significant damage, his pit stop only delayed his chances further. If I could get away without any problems, I could finish in the top 5. But when I checked the bike, it was clear there were some pretty big issues. I stopped, changed bikes, but had to wait 20 seconds for it to be ready. In his post-race comments, Bagnaia dismissed any notion of bad luck, instead choosing to focus on the simple reality of a weekend that didn't go his way. His pragmatic approach made it clear this wasn't a case of misfortune, but rather a series of uncooperative factors. Bad luck and good luck don't exist. Today, nothing simply worked out. Another key issue for Bagnaia was his lack of connection with the Ducati, particularly in the wet. The bike's unpredictable behavior made it nearly impossible for him to find any consistency, with his pace fluctuating wildly throughout the weekend. In the wet, you need more feedback from the bike, and I have none. I can ride fast or 4 seconds slower, and the bike gives me the same feeling. Despite the team's efforts, Bagnaia couldn't shake the feeling that progress had stagnated. While he acknowledged the hard work behind the scenes, he expressed frustration that the improvements weren't materializing, even in seemingly small areas. The team is giving me everything they can to help me, but so far we've never improved. Even small decisions, like using the old tail this morning because we only have one and didn't want to risk falling, show our insecurity. Bagnaia's final reflections on the weekend were blunt and unambiguous. What started as a normal weekend turned into a catastrophic sequence of events, culminating in a disappointing race. His mood was resolute as he concluded the weekend on a bitter note. Until Saturday morning, everything was normal. I felt very comfortable. Then, qualifying, the sprint, and the race, a disaster. I'm going home very angry. I'm not happy about anything. Concluded. Pecco Bagnaia leaves Le Mans with a sense of unfinished business and deep frustration. With the season still young, his anger is likely to fuel a determined push in the upcoming rounds. As the Ducati rider looks ahead, there's no doubt that he'll be gunning for redemption after what was a devastating weekend in France. Just hours after crashing out of the French GP, Quartararo learned he'd been deemed in breach of martial orders, incurring a suspension for the opening 10 minutes of next weekend's first practice at Silverstone. It's a blow that chips into his preparation for a track where fine margins often decide the podium. I'm sad to miss FP1, but I have to accept it. It's another challenge in a season that hasn't made things easy. Fabio Quartararo's statement. Quartararo launched from his Le Mans grid slot with determination, hunting Marc Márquez under slippery conditions. He matched Marc for 3 laps before the worsening spray clipped his rear, then the front collapsed, sending him tumbling off at high speed. Even with a long lap penalty factored in, he felt the podium was within reach. I knew it would be difficult to get into podium pace, so as soon as it started to rain, I pushed like crazy. Despite the long lap, I was still very close to Marc, but I didn't expect the crash. Le Mans rain and surface bumps turned turn 13 into a gamble, one that claimed both factory Yamahas. Quartararo lamented the M1's unpredictability in the wet, where any misstep spelled disaster. Even switching bikes mid-race and serving 2 long laps couldn't offset the underlying lack of grip. This track is always a lottery. In the last corner, there are bumps and height differences, so it's very easy to lose control. To compound his woes, Quartararo's warm-up was cut short by a technical glitch that robbed him of crucial track time. Yet he refused to dwell solely on the negatives, pointing to his pole position on Saturday and a strong sprint result as evidence that the M1 still has flashes of brilliance. It was a good weekend. I finished second on Friday, I took pole on Saturday, and I finished 4th in the sprint. I'm sad about the result, but we gave it our all. Despite leaving Le Mans empty-handed, Quartararo basked in the home crowd adulation, especially poignant as his mother watched her son race for the first time. Now, all eyes turn to Silverstone, where he hopes the Yamaha's straight-line speed and his affinity for the British circuit can turn fortune back in his favor. I love Silverstone. I've always been fast there, and I won in 2021. It all depends on grip and tire wear, but I'm excited to get back out. Fabio Quartararo's Le Mans weekend ended in frustration, a crash, a penalty, and mechanical hiccups. Yet within the adversity lay glimpses of pace, passion from the public, and a pole position that reminds him what the M1 can do. As he heads to Silverstone, albeit with reduced practice time, the challenge will be turning promise into podiums under the Union Jack. Thanks for watching ZNGP today, and this is your Moto GP news update. And see you next time.